Yes.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the briefing. Thanks for joining us. We've made an exciting discovery. Thanks so much for joining us. Let us know where you're tuning in from. All right, we're ready when you are.
Good morning, everyone. It's time for our 10:30 briefing, making sure everybody can hear me. Today we're going to talk about an exciting discovery we've made here at the South Wall. As you know, especially if you've been following us daily on our Facebook Live briefings, these guys behind me have been hard at work while I've been on vacation. And they have done an incredible job of exposing that architectural feature that we've got in the area of the South Wall Gate. We're still doing more research to figure out exactly what we've got, but in the course of their work, they have uncovered an artifact that we're going to show to you today. We've actually brought it out, and we've also brought out kind of a visual aid that's going to help a little bit in explaining what exactly we've got. As you all may remember, at the South Wall, during various phases throughout history, we had a lot of construction and then destruction episodes. We also know that there was a lot of military action, and one of the things that we have uncovered, and part of this, is the tip of a Mexican sword. And it would have been issued to a non-commissioned officer in the Mexican infantry. And Carissa and Sarah are bringing it over. It's the tip, it has been broken off. Do you guys want to come over around? I'm going to let them move around so y'all can get photos. Sam Nesmith of the Texas Museum for Military History did the identification for us on this. He is an expert on military artifacts here in Texas. And he positively identified it as the tip of a Mexican sword that would have dated to about 1835. So that's really exciting news. He's got a couple of pieces of information that are going to help us with context. As you'll all remember, in 1835, there was some fortification of the South Wall going on. General Coase and Colonel Urgatichea, I'm butchering that, I'm sure, were fortifying the South Gate during that time. And when the attack happened, it was 100 light cavalry that came in to attack the South Wall under the command of Colonel Juan Morales and Colonel Jose Mignon. And so at that time, we know the wall was under attack. Sam has postulated this sword tip could be associated with a couple of things. It may predate the battle and could have been used during that fortification construction. It also may have been used in the battle. So we're very excited to have this artifact, tangible reminder of the past. And for those of you who are going, how can you tell that's a sword tip? We've got a picture being held up in the back. Christy is holding up a photograph of an artifact on display over at the Battle for Texas, the Experience, just down the street. And that is the 1816 version of what the sword would have looked like. So we've just got the very tip of it, and you can see the picture of the full length of what that sword would have looked like. We're really excited to have evidence of military action here at the South Wall. We have got very little evidence overall of construction materials, so this is really nice to have. Any questions associated with this?
Yeah, any indication as to what became of the rest of it?
We have not found any other artifacts that might be part of this sword. This is it so far. It's possible that, you break a tool, sometimes you leave part of that where you are and throw the rest of it away, or you readapt it and reuse it somewhere else. So we haven't found any other evidence.
How are you going to be able to tell if it's ceremonial or an actual battle sword?
I don't know if we will be able to get that context out. We're going to run with the two hypotheses we have, which are that it could have been used within the construction or it could have been used in the battle. Sam looked at the torque and the pattern of breaking, and he is inclined to think it may have been used in construction, but beyond that, those are our two working hypotheses.
How would someone use a sword for construction?
It could have just been as they were constructing You know how sometimes you grab the tool that's nearest and handiest, and you try to work something loose and then you've broken it? That may be how.
So this would have been, one theory is that this was used in the construction of the fortifications that were being built by the Mexican army.
When General Coase was fortifying that south wall before the attack, that may have been. These swords were called briquettes, briquet, for those of you who want to look that up. And they were French manufacture, but they were widely distributed to the Spanish and Mexican soldiers both. So just like today, where we might get our tools from other sources and then use them, they were doing the same thing.
So there is though a chance that this could have been used and damaged in the Battle of the Alamo.
Absolutely. That is one of the possibilities, which is pretty exciting to think about.
Is this going to change the process of the dig at all? Are you going to look at a different place now or expect certain things?
We're going to continue to investigate the future we have. We really want to know what we've got before we close anything back up. But the master plan will kind of help us figure out what the next steps are. Because we're doing this so that they can form their interpretations. So it's exciting to find an artifact like this for us, but overall, we're doing this in support of what they're going to focus on for their interpretation. So they'll be the ones telling us.
What happens to the tip now?
This will be curated or prepared for curation at the Center for Archaeological Research at the University of Texas in San Antonio. If we can get the money, expensive, but it would be a process that can restore the tip back to its nice, shiny, recognizable form. But that is a very expensive and time-consuming process. So that's something the master plan team and the endowment would have to look at.
Is there any opportunity to ever return here to the Alamo, where it was?
To return the artifact to the Alamo?
For display.
That may be part of the master plan. We are just the technical people trying to support them. So that may be part of their plan. I'm not sure.
What can you tell us about the individual who would have carried this sword?
This would have been issued to a non-commissioned officer in the Mexican Army. We do know that at the south wall, it was the 4th column who attacked, like I said, under the auspices, and I'm going to have to look because I keep forgetting the name, so I'm using my phone as a cheat sheet. Captain Morales and Captain Mignon would have led 100 troops in, so it's possible it would have been associated with one of those non-commissioned men.
Do you think there's ever any way that you can identify this with one individual?
I think that would be pretty tough. We can look at archival records to help bolster what was happening at the south wall, but it's pretty rare that we can tie something specifically to an individual unless that's a pretty significant individual and we've got a description of what they're doing.
Okay, there may be some written letter or something, I broke my sword in the battle, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. If anybody's got that out there, we'd love to take a look.
I got here kind of in the middle, so sorry if you already covered this. What are the processes that cause a sword tip to go from what it looks like in that picture to what it looks like in that box?
Well, you know, the air, the moisture, everything around us that causes the chemical reactions to corrode metal artifacts. It's very rare that we have a metal artifact that is preserved in place without some corrosion, unless it's brass or white metal or something like that. But if there's any ferrous component, it pretty much oxidizes.
In terms of archaeology, how rare or exciting is it to find a piece like this so early on in the dig?
We're really excited. It's pretty rare. We did find a similar sword tip at the main plaza in 2006 downtown in San Antonio. That is associated with a fortification trench. That would have been associated with the Battle of Bear. So it does happen. San Antonio's got a really rich archaeological record, but we're pretty excited. We didn't expect it.
Is there any way you can get any trace of organic material, blood or anything like that off of this?
You know, I'm not sure what the chemical process of corrosion does to the blade and what that might do to any of the DNA or residue on such an artifact. That would be something that a conservation expert would have to answer.
But it was found right over here, right?
Right behind y'all at the south wall.
Yeah, are you optimistic there might be more like it?
We would love to find more like it. It may be that there are more at the south wall. It may be that that's elsewhere on the property. That's what lures me into archaeology every time, because you never know. We can guess, and when we do validate it through something like this, it's incredibly amazing.
For those of us who aren't archaeologists, are you on the floor of the dig, or are you still digging down and you found this on the way down? Or?
They found this on the way down, and Christy can correct me if I'm wrong, but they found this as they were digging down around the walls.
Keep going down.
In some areas we may, and in other areas we're really focusing on trying to understand this architectural feature we've got. So that's more of a horizontal exposure. And remember, we don't want to dig through too much, because if the team wants to interpret it, we don't want to take it out so that they can't.
Since this type of sword was in use at least until the 1860s, you're confident this was not, you know, oh, my sword just broke, darn it, I'm going to throw part of it away in 1863, and this had nothing to do with the Alamo.
You know, that's always a possibility, but I think that once you had tools in a kind of a frontier area, you're going to reuse them and you're going to hang on to them. Once it's broken, I'm guessing there was a lot more broken prior to that battle and during the battle than you would think. And once the 1863 comes along and you've got the Civil War going on, you have different officers, different equipment, etc.
Nesta, we have a question from Facebook Live. Can you tell us which archaeologist actually found the sword tip?
I'm going to defer to Christy on this.
I want to say Ashley was digging in the unit, but it fell in.
It sounds like Ashley Jones behind me is the one who found this sword tip. So she gets the bag of Cheetos. That's the prize that we give each other.
But I will say this, Nesta, it was in the wall for a while, and then finally it came out.
So what Christy's saying is that it was in the wall of the excavation unit for a while, and we try to leave everything alone until it's ready to come out. And when it was ready to come out, it just kind of gently dropped out.
Another question from Facebook Live. Are you hopeful to find the rest of it?
The question was, are you hopeful to find the rest of it? Of course. We would love to find more of this. We don't know if that happens, because once again, we don't know if an individual left the tip and then, you know, reused the sword or discarded it elsewhere, or if it's there to find. But that's why we dig.
I'm sorry, did you say this was embedded in the wall? Is that where you found it?
It was in our unit wall,
Oh, okay.
so not necessarily in the stones.
Great of you to explain that to us, what you mean by that.
So when we dig in 1 by 1 meter, so about 3 feet by 3 feet units. They're square, and we refer to the sides as walls. So am I correct in saying it fell out of the side? Okay. So it just fell out of the side of the unit wall, not the architectural feature.
It's a side of your equipment.
A side of the dirt. So that square of dirt, that side, it just popped right out.
And how far was it from where the wall at that time would have been?
You know, I'm not sure we can answer that, because we're not confident yet what we've got going on. Kay talked yesterday and gave a great archival overview of all the different construction and destruction episodes that went on over time. So there were different walls in place, kind of like the west side where you had a complex of walls. Here at the south wall, you had a lot of episodes of building, and then somebody would come in and destroy it, and then they'd rebuild it. So it's kind of a tricky question of what is the wall.
When was the last wall here before? What's the latest evidence of the wall?
Boy, I'd have to defer
That
to
would have been
Stephen
the wall
Kay
that the
on that.
Mexican soldiers would have destroyed after winning the battle?
That is certainly, now when the Confederates came in, I am not sure if they restored the walls or not, because I know they constructed some rooms in that area. So I presume they may have reconstructed, but I have not done the archival to be the right one to speak on that.
We have a question from Kim on Facebook. Is it frustrating to do such a short dig and not be able to go all the way and uncover every single thing?
So the question was, is it frustrating to do such a short dig and have to stop instead of going all the way and uncovering everything? And that is part of the struggle of archaeology. We are always really curious and we want to know everything we can about a site, but we also recognize that there are other constraints, and some of them are that future archaeologists, you know, may have better technology. They may have better resources available at their disposal, and so we never. It's very rare that we excavate a site fully. We always try to leave a piece of it for the future, and in this case, it's frustrating. Yet at the same time, I would much rather have something that we can share with everybody else. We get to see a lot of things that the public doesn't. And it's really, really exciting to think that we might be able to expose something that the public can then view and be interpreted for them.
Now, this is the first military-related artifact you found in this entire dig west end sound.
This is the first confirmed artifact. We may have others. Again, we take a while to do our artifact identification and processing. So this one has been uncovered for a few days. I believe it came out last week, but we have to take it to the expert. We have to confirm we have what we have. So it is a process. It doesn't happen right away. So it's possible we do have other artifacts.
How would the Mexican Army have referred to this type of sword?
You know, they probably just would have been their sword, their briquette, is what the name was.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions?
Yes, when do you plan on wrapping up this day?
You know, we are talking with the master plan team about that now. We are kind of in a wind down phase, or we have been at the south wall. And so we know we will be out here through midweek next week, but we have to regroup with the master plan team and make sure everybody's comfortable with where we're at.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Here's a close-up of the artifact that was discovered.
Go bring it closer. Let's get the layer.
They can open the. Can you want to open the case?
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be.
Opening
No,
the
you could
case
go
of the
right.
artifact.
Just don't get a picture of me getting coffee.
Yeah, about how much does it weigh? Okay. Like less than a pound?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Karen from Philadelphia, welcome. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We're so excited to be here. Elizabeth from Dale, Texas, thanks for tuning in. Marjorie from Beaumont. Rosebud's Castle from Harlingen, Texas, thanks everyone for tuning in. Round Rock. Got Cheryl from Natalia. Thanks for tuning in, Cheryl.
So it's 1835?
Yes.
Yes?
Thank you everybody for tuning in.
But this would have been just
We
a
will be
natural
back
erosion.
here tomorrow at 10:30.